congratulations to the nominees. Thanks for being here. Mr. Cooker, let me start with you. Are you familiar with the case Missouri versus Biden from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals?
I'm vaguely familiar, sir, from what I've read in the open press.
Well, let me refresh your memory. This is the case in which first the federal district court, then the federal court of appeals, held that the White House and assorted other various federal agencies violated the First Amendment of the United States, illegal actions, unconstitutional actions, by coercing and colluding with the biggest social media corporations in the world to suppress and censor protected speech. Let me just read you a few passages. Officials from the White House began communicating with social media companies, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, in early 2021. From the outset, that came with requests to take down flagged content. In one email, a White House official told a platform to take down a post ASAP and instructed it to keep an eye out for tweets that fall in the same genre so that they could be removed. In another email, an official told a platform to remove an account immediately and said he could not stress the degree to which this needs to be resolved immediately. The court goes on to find, these are findings, by the way, not allegations, findings. Those requests for removal were met. The court goes on. The White House did not only flag content, they started monitoring the platform's moderation activities too, and they often asked for and received frequent updates to the platform's moderation policies. They not only continued the platforms to take down content the officials flagged and provided requested data to the White House, they also changed their moderation policies expressly in accordance with the White House's wishes. Bottom line here, the court found that the White House successfully pressured and coerced, once again, the biggest corporations in the world to censor Americans. And here's how the court summarized it. They said it was a coordinated campaign of unprecedented magnitude, orchestrated by federal officials that jeopardized a fundamental aspect of American life. That's pretty strong language. This is pretty bad stuff. Do you think that this is wrong, Mr. Coker? Do you think that the White House meeting with social media corporations and pressuring them to censor protected speech by Americans is wrong?
Sir, with regards to ONCD, we do not have a role related to that. We're focused on the digital infrastructure and the digital ecosystem. And that's where ONCD is today, and if confirmed, I presume that's the roadmap that ONCD would continue to follow.
You wouldn't see it as any part of your remit to meet with social media corporations?
I would meet with whatever entity, if confirmed, that could help build and maintain a more defensible digital infrastructure and a more resilient digital infrastructure.
You would be against any efforts to use your office or any other office you have put input in the White House, if you were to be confirmed here, to censor or manipulate or otherwise engage in unconstitutional activities?
I am a strong proponent of First and Fourth Amendment free speech and privacy. I do not see any role in ONCD in that area. But again, if I could speak personally, censorship is not an area that I personally believe in. I'm an advocate for constitutionally protected speech.
Good. I ask you because cybersecurity is often cited, and you can see it in this decision, is often cited as a reason to censor. I mean, this is part of the rationale that the White House and the FBI and DHS all used, according to these federal courts, to go to these big corporations and say, you've got to do what we tell you to do. And the finding of the court was the government basically turned these corporations into an arm of the federal government. I emphasize the biggest corporations on the planet with the most extensive control of speech on the planet, and our government used them, turned them into an arm of itself, and went, in some cases, post by post, and said, take this down, take that down, censor this person. In my home state of Missouri, parents who were trying to circulate a petition about school policy with regard to masks had their posts taken down at the direction of the White House. This isn't in a novel. This happened. And for all I know, is still happening in this country. So I just want to make sure, Mr. Coker, that you're going to be a voice for the First Amendment. And if somebody comes to you and says, you need to go and meet with these social media companies and you need to do this stuff, you need to tell them, take down those posts, I don't like that, we're threatening you, you'll say, no how, no way.
Sir, I took my first oath to the Constitution when I was 17 years old, and I've taken it periodically ever since. There's no stronger advocate for the United States Constitution to include all amendments than I am, sir.
Well, good. Well, you would be a breath of fresh air in that regard in this White House. Let me ask you something else. Am I right in thinking that you have served, maybe you currently serve as a senior advisory group member within ODNI, Office of the Director of National Intelligence?
I have worked some projects for ODNI.
Okay. Have you been involved in any discussions regarding ODNI's obligation to declassify information about the links between the Wuhan Institute for Virology and the COVID-19 pandemic?
Not at all, sir.
Okay. Do you know what I'm referring to here?
No, sir, I don't.
Well, we passed a law. I say we, I mean this body passed a law. We passed it unanimously out of the Senate. It was passed by the House of Representatives. It was signed by the President. I happen to know something about it because I wrote it. And it requires ODNI, requires, not requests, requires ODNI to declassify. I believe the language that we settled on is any and all information, pretty broad, any and all information related to the origins of COVID-19. ODNI has not complied with that statutory obligation. They had a deadline, they blew right through it. When they finally did give us information, they gave us a 5-page summary. They gave us no actual information, none of the detail required in the statute. They have basically, I know this is a family hearing, Mr. Chairman, they're basically giving us the finger, put it that way. Just too bad, we're not going to comply. I can't tell you how destructive I think that is, not just to the relationship between the White House and Congress, but to the basic rule of law. The American people have a right to expect the laws will be followed, and also when it comes to something like COVID-19, that their government will be honest with them about what they know. That's what this law requires, what they know. So if you're confirmed, will you commit to us, Mr. Coker, that you will comply with statutes duly enacted that this body, Congress, enacts and writes into law?
Absolutely, sir.
All right. Very good. Thank you. I'll have some other questions for you all. I'll submit them for the record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.